Hello. Before I start this video, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who has helped me reach the goal of 50,000 subscribers. I seriously appreciate all the support. As a thank you for 50,000 subscribers, I thought that I could give you guys my best tips and tricks for a standing backflip. So let's get to the video. At 50,000 subscribers, I promised a tutorial of some sort. Sorry, the sun is like so bright and I have really sensitive eyes, so I'm gonna be squinty. Oh, that's a bee. Anyways, yeah, so I promised a tutorial of some sort at 50,000 subscribers. This isn't exactly a tutorial on how to do a backflip. It's more of just how to improve your backflip, help you with height and faster rotation. So that's what we're gonna be working on today. So if you don't know how to do a backflip, this is not a tutorial. Go learn that first and then come back here for some tips and tricks on how to improve it. But before I get started, I just want to talk about Kojo's Tricks Lab. This may be my first tutorial on YouTube, but I have a bunch of tutorials on Kojo's Tricks Lab, and so do so many other trickers, tons of other trickers. There are literally over 1,000 videos on this site, ranging from tutorials, videos on mindset, breaking down and analyzing tricks, you name it. The last one I did was wrap full. Not only was it a tutorial for wrap full, but there's 3 different ways of learning the wrap full, because you can learn the same trick many different ways. But yeah, seriously, I highly recommend checking out Kojo's Trick Lab. Anyways, enough of that. Let's get to these tips on the backflip. First things first is staying over your toes. Now, what I mean by that is, let me backtrack just a little bit. Not everyone knows this, but I was a diver throughout high school. I actually started in like the 5th grade. It was very on and off. I wasn't super passionate about diving. I was definitely more passionate about tricking, but I did diving because one, like I was good at it and felt pressured that I should do it because I was good at it, and everyone just kept telling me I'd get these college scholarships and all that. So the pressure was one, and also when I used to live in New York, like I couldn't really train much in the winter, so it was just kind of a good way to do some flips while there was snow on the ground. So diving, yeah. With my diving background, I do think that it translated into helping my standing tricks a lot, because let's use like back dive or back 1.5 as an example. When you're on the diving board, let's say this is the diving board, you're standing at the end. If you lean back, the board is going to push you out, really far out, as far as it possibly can, because that's what it does. But if you stay over your toes and don't lean back, the board will launch you straight up in the air, and you'll be closest to the diving board. You won't land on the diving board because the diving board does this natural job of pushing you away. So that's why if you stay completely straight, it will push you just enough where you won't hit the board. However, if you're leaning too far forward and you push your hips forward, you will land on the board. But what I really want to talk about is leaning back. A lot of the times when people do standing tricks, that is what they do right before the takeoff. They lean back. Also, I just wanted to say, I filmed this tutorial a couple days ago, but I felt I could do better with the talking today, so the example clips are going to be from the other day. So yeah, leaning back, you want to stay over your toes. And when I mean that, I mean you want to stay, this is the ball of your foot right here, and this is your heel. You want to stay on the ball of your foot when you're about to take off for your backflip, for the standing backflip. So, as long as I stay over my toes on the ball of my feet, I have my balance. I can go down and up, no problem. But as soon as I put the weight onto my heels, I can already feel me falling back. It's harder to be low with the heels on the ground without having to kind of roll backwards. So when you go for the backflip, you do not want your heels to touch the ground, because as soon as your heels touch the ground, that begins the process of rolling backwards. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. You can absolutely have your heels touch the ground. What I meant to say is you do not want the weight to go to your heels. You want to keep the weight on the balls of your feet. And as soon as you transition and roll your weight onto your heels, that's when you will begin to start falling and leaning backwards. As long as you stay on the balls of your feet, the weight on the balls of your feet, you'll be good. Don't transition to your heels. Keep fighting over your toes. That's all that's important. Just really want to clarify, you can absolutely have your heels touch the ground. I did not mean to say don't have them touch the ground. Just don't put your weight onto your heels. So you don't want that for your standing tuck. You want to go up as high as possible, and rolling back onto your heels will take away all your height. Instead of height, it'll add distance to your backflip. So staying over your toes is super important. So when you're over your toes, it's almost gonna feel like you're fighting against falling forward. But you don't want to fall forward, obviously. But it is much easier to stay over your toes and fight against the falling forward than it is going on your heels and fighting against going backwards. So it's super important to keep your weight on the balls of your feet. All right? Another super important aspect of backflip is pushing your hips up. So if you follow step 1 and staying over your toes, that will really help with being able to push your hips straight up in the air. You want to feel this motion. When you're on your heels, it's harder to get that motion because you have to do more work to get your hips up. But if you're over your toes, your hips can go straight up. Boom. Oh, that was better than I expected. So, hips, super important, pushing them up. You're gonna feel this slight, you're like literally humping the air. You're gonna feel a little hump, and it's quick. As soon as it's a fast action, boom, and then tuck. Next, keeping your head still. A lot of people, when learning a backflip or just having learned it, tend to throw their head back right at the start of the takeoff. You know, I understand why you want to do that. You're jumping in the air. If you throw your head back, you're able to see the ground much sooner and know where you are. However, if you want to maximize your backflip and get the most height and the fastest rotation, throwing your head back is not ideal. Reason being is when you throw your head back, that throws your shoulders back. Throwing your head back throws the entire line of your body off. If your head is gonna be back here, it's gonna start pulling your shoulders back. If your shoulders are gonna be going back, your whole chest, and then your whole upper body is back now, how are you gonna stay over your toes if your entire upper body is behind your toes now? So when you throw your head back, it's gonna put you onto your heels. And then when you go onto your heels, you're gonna push back instead of going up. Okay, and another thing worth mentioning, as you just saw my example clip for throwing my head back for a backflip, you can see that I didn't really drop back onto my heels and travel too far backwards. But I did lose a lot of my height in my backflip. So those are two scenarios of what can happen if you throw your head back. One, you can possibly fall back onto your heels and push back. Two, just straight up taking away a lot of the height. I didn't travel backwards a lot, but I didn't go up a lot either. So throwing your head back can either take away height, add distance, or do both. So try to not throw your head back. Yeah. Keeping your head still, super important. To do this, I always try to find an object that's level with my eyes, or even just staring off into the distance of something that's at eye level height, and literally staring at it as long as possible. If you are one to throw your head back, this is gonna be really uncomfortable and scary at first. It's gonna take a little bit of time to get used to, but it will pay off in the end, I promise. So, keeping your head still, you can go up in the air. Once you're in the air, you'll keep your eyes there, and you'll just see your knees come up, which might be new to you because when you throw your head back, you probably never see your knees. Let's go through everything real quick before I move on to the next step. 1, staying over your toes, not rolling onto your heels. 2, pushing your hips straight up. 3, keeping your head still, not throwing it back so you don't throw your entire upper body back. You don't want that. Next, let's talk about the arms. So your arms should be in sync with your legs. Once you've fully pushed through your legs, your arms should be at your ears. When I do a backflip, my arms aren't straight. It's more of like an uppercut. It's more of like an uppercut right here. But not only do you want to get your arms to your ears, you do not want to get your arms to your ears and then bring them forward to grab your tuck. If you're going to be doing a backflip, starting the momentum, starting the rotation, going backwards, you know, it all starts with your arms. You know, if you're doing twists, backflips, whatever it is, your arms start the rotation. If you're going to start it going backwards and then bring your arms forward, that's going to cut off rotation because it's technically like you're throwing a front flip in the middle of your backflip. You don't want to do that. What I do, I get my arms to my ears and then I circle around for my tuck. Another clarification, I know that like when I was talking, I was like super exaggerating my arms coming around, and then in the example, it doesn't look like that. It's mainly just when you get your arms to your ears, it's that little, this part of you'll feel it's in your pec that you're going around. You just don't want to get the arms to the ears and drop them forward. You're gonna feel this rotation around this area. I don't know what this part of your body is, but arms to the ears, and you feel it rotate around to grab your tuck. It's not gonna be how I was showing you, like all the way around. Like you don't have enough time in the air to do it. It's gonna be arms to the ears, quick little, you know, make that noise in the air to the tuck, you know, yeah. And now bring it back to the head positioning. When you get your arms to your ears, you're going to circle around for your knees. You're gonna see your knees, grab the tuck, and by the time you're grabbing your tuck, you will see the grass, the ground, whatever surface you're on, you will see the ground right through your tuck. And at that point, you spot your landing and put your feet right there. Okay, so one more time, let's go through everything. Staying over your toes, super important. Do not drop back onto your heels. 2, push those hips right up. Boom, nice little hump. 3, keep your head and chin nice and level, something at eye level height. And 4, arms to the ears and circle around for the tuck. Don't drop them forward. So if you combine all these steps, your backflip should look something like this. Oh God, the grass is wet and my pants are wet. Yeah. So yeah, if you combine all of those little steps, it should improve your backflip, and even combining these tips to double backflip will really help. Yeah, I think that's all I really have to say. So I would love to hear if these tips help your backflip. That's really all I have to say. I guess I'll see you next time.